whom the bell tolls. The bell tolls for thee. What a glorious opportunity to be still. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know. And so the mindfulness bell assists us in going home. That place that waits for us within. That awake awareness. In the Gospel of Thomas, it is said that Jesus says, in all your seeking, seek until you find. And when you find, you will be greatly disturbed. And when you are greatly disturbed, you will be filled with awe. And when you are filled with awe, you will discover a truth that has been waiting for you. And so we seek, and we find, we discover that there is that which is within us, that is waiting for us to discover a sense of wonder and awe, a sense of belonging to the one life that is all there is. And so we come here to have a direct experience of the mystery of belonging to the one life. There is but one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. And that life is my life now. And as we surrender and trust and open and allow, then life surprises us with moments. And hopefully this Sunday you will have moments. It was 2 weeks ago, we sang our closing song. I am you, you are me, we are one. And in that unity we will live in harmony, and peace has come as we are one. And after we sang that song, a young lady fell into my arms and she said, I'm one with everything, with nothing. And I realized this woman's having a direct experience that's overwhelming. And I held her in my arms as she was dissolving into the oneness. And my beloved Virginia Burroughs was right there, and I passed her off to her. Because things like that happen. And so we open to those moments. They're just waiting for our attention. I hear the dog bark outside and I smile. Oh my goodness, how many sacred dog moments and cat moments have I had? It's all God. And so we pay attention. The theme for this month is endless practice. We don't arrive at some place and we're done. No, our life is an endless practice, moment to moment. And so we open to this sacred moment. And we pay attention with an open heart. And we know that whatever it is that we need this Sunday morning will be offered to us in ways we can't even begin to imagine. So with a grateful heart in advance, we let this day unfold, opening to the surprise of belonging to the one life. And you can open your eyes, and I'll invite my beloved to play us a little, maybe George Winston. And then we have a lovely poem from my beloved Megan. We'll start the service. This music is so beautiful. Let it take you to that place. Megan, if you'd like to come.
Beautiful. I just have to thank Bob for that. That was like I'm already. It's really beautiful. And it actually ties in really well with what I'm going to read. But it was almost, it ended very unexpectedly, Bob, without this like peaceful, happy, and I just love that it left off like that without the resolution that maybe you were hoping for. But the piece was so beautiful. And I love just the analogy and the metaphor of life as music, because if it were just the one note, it would be very boring, and that's not a song. And that some of my actual favorite pieces of music are in minor keys and have dissonance and have swells that take you. And so music is such a beautiful example of how we actually need and desire those dissonant, uncomfortable, sometimes sounds or experiences in the whole piece of life. So thank you so much, Bob. That was beautiful. So this will be an Easter kind of themed poem that I came across just this morning, actually. So I just, a lot of gratitude to our board and David for letting me just at the last minute throw something in. So I hope that it touches you. And again, as David always says, it's a transmission, so into the energy of the poem. But all right. This is the season of rising, not from a tomb of stone, but from the chrysalis of forgetting. The light did not die. It only withdrew for a sacred pause, so the green heart could remember how brightly it can shine when it chooses to break open again. The lion in you lay down in the still. The old form grew quiet. The mane felt heavy. The wings waited, folded, patient. Then the flutter came, soft at first, like tears in the morning, then stronger, like the galactic heartbeat, pulsing, answering inside of your chest. This is the true Easter, the resurrection of the light. The moment the light says, I will wear the cloak of flesh again, not to suffer, but to rise in joy, to taste salt and laughter, to grow wings while still walking the earth. The tomb is empty because there never was a tomb, only a cocoon. The stone was rolled away by your own green heart when it remembered it was never separate from the one giver of movement and measure. So rise, beloved pride. Rise not as you were, but as the butterfly wearing lion strength. Rise with tears still wet on your face and new wings drying in the cosmic sun. Rise, carrying the triune frequency, still in the center, flow in every step, and fire in every gentle roar. The resurrection is not a single day. It is every morning you choose to let the wings unfold. It is every subtle synchronicity that you greet with a smile. It is every tear you honor as holy water anointing the new form. The cosmos is not watching you rise. The cosmos is rising through you. Light choosing to feel, eternity choosing to have a heartbeat, the galactic butterfly choosing to flutter in human skin for a while longer. This Easter, the tomb is empty. The cocoon is split open, the wings are wet, trembling, and ready. The lion has not left you, it has simply learned how to fly. Walk softly today. Roar gently when the fire stirs. Let the tears come if they need to. They are starlight, washing the old form clean so the new one can shine. You are the resurrection. You are the rising. You are the light that was never lost, only beautifully, courageously transformed. Happy Easter, beloved. The wings are open. The light is home. Now fly.
Thank you, my love. That was so perfect. As a little boy, I used to collect butterflies. They didn't kill them, I would draw them. And I think I was a butterfly. On my Zen calendar this morning, it says, meditation takes you into a place of wonder because you are the lamp and you are the light. And so we're here to experience the light within and let our butterflies flow into this beautiful expression called life. How wonderful is that? Holy cow. I pulled out my Universal Christ here by Richard Rohr. And he also says that the resurrection is always happening. It's not something that happened 2,000 years ago. So dare we have our own resurrection this Sunday morning? It's my 38th Sunday here doing Easter Sunday. I've had 37 years and I'm starting my 38th. I know. And so Richard Rohr, he's a Franciscan monk, and dare I say he pisses off a lot of Christians, but I love him. Anyway, he says, we can already see the resurrection happening everywhere. Okay, there we have it. Resurrection is just an incarnation taken to its logical conclusion. If God inhabits matter, then we can naturally believe in the resurrection of the body. Most simply said, nothing truly good can die. And trusting that is probably our real act of faith. So he said, resurrection is presented by Paul as the general principle of all reality. He does not argue for a one-time anomaly and then ask us to believe in this Jesus miracle, which most Christians are eager to do. Instead, Paul names this cosmic pattern and then says in many places that the Spirit is carried within our hearts. So we're here to have a direct experience of something that wants to give birth through us. And then we can take this holiday and make it something that isn't about somebody 2,000 years ago, but is a direct experience like Megan just read to us in that beautiful poem. Resurrection is another word for change, but particularly it's a positive change, which we tend to see only in the long run. In the short run, it often looks like a death. Oh, that's kind of funny, isn't it? Sometimes things have to die for other things to give birth. So could we be willing to let whatever it is that needs to die, that we've been holding on to, pass away, so that something new might give birth? Holy cow. Maybe it'll take us to Venezuela and we'll do some tangoing or wherever that was you went. Jesus' first incarnate life, his passing over into death, and his resurrection into the ongoing Christ life is the archetypal model for the entire pattern of creation. So we're looking at a pattern in creation that the Christ is something that's within us all. And remember, he was a nice Jewish boy, David. He was a nice Jewish boy, but he had the Christ within. We all have the Christ within. It's not his last name. So he is the microcosm for the whole cosmos. Ooh. He is the map of the journey that we all take in case you need or want one of those journeys. So there's this little Franciscan monk saying, have your own direct experience of something that is truly magnificent. Being that it's my 37th anniversary here, I walked into the center and I was stricken by some of the wonderful people that I've known over the years. Some of you I've known since the very beginning, and others who've come along, some are fairly new. And this lady, Charlotte Gruey, she's a woman that showed up, and she was an artist, and she would paint rocks, and she would hand rocks out to all the church people. And this one is in the classroom where we do our meditation. It's a rock of some kind of a critter here with a flower on its tail, and then you turn it over and she says, bloom where you're planted. And so sometimes the simple message on a rock that you hold made by someone who's, and there's rocks all over the church that she's painted. If you need one, you can take one home with you, because she was here to say we need to bloom where we're planted. So that's Charlotte's message. She woke up one morning, she couldn't walk, but she listens in on the thing that Michael hooked us up with so she gets to hear me. And then I was thinking of this, there's a photograph of this lovely lady, Vandana Srivastava. And Vandana showed up here maybe 30 years ago. When Megan texted me this morning, she said Anamkara. Well, Vandana and I taught the book, The Anamkara, with Jody. And the Anamkara is the soul friend. And anytime someone is dating, I suggest that they read the Anamkara, because that's what we're looking for in life, is our Anamkara, our soul friend. And so she was my soul friend. She wanted me to run away with her. Mind you, she was married with a kid, but she wanted the Anamkara. And I just love her so much. And her reference point for belonging to the universe was Krishna. Here's the symbol for Krishna. He played the flute. You know, we have Jesus. The Christians have Jesus. The Muslims, or not Muslims, the Hindus had Krishna. He's not. She had Krishna. And so she said to me, I was a dancer when I was in India, and she went to Harvard, you know. So her parents didn't like the fact that she was a dancer, but she loved to dance. So she said, I want you to go up on stage and hold a flute. And this was 30 years ago. And she said, I'm going to dance down the aisles. And she danced down the aisles and had these bells on her feet. And then she got up and she's circling me and circling me and circling me, luring me to give me the flute. And she said, whatever you do, don't give me the flute. And so when she finished the dance, prostrating herself at my feet, I kept holding onto the flute. Now, I'm not sure what that meant. I'm sure it meant something sincerely, but I didn't give my flute to her. And Vandana taught the class. And as Grace would have it, Vandana means prayer in Sanskrit. Vandana got ill, and she was a young woman. I don't even think she was 30. And I assisted her in making her transition out of her body. I was in Vancouver, British Columbia at a minister's gathering, and they did the Vedic hymn of creation. I remember sitting in a meditation, and they were reading the Vedic hymn of creation. And it talked about there was one light in the universe, and all creation came out of that light. And they invited us in the meditation to move into that light, knowing that we're always in that light, that it never goes anywhere. And so when I got back, she was in the emergency room at Huntsville Hospital, and I did the church service. Her husband, Maurice, says, Vandana is passing, you need to rush up. And I said, I'll come after the service on Sunday. And so I rushed up after the service, and there she was in intensive care. And I asked Maurice to leave the room, and she was panting. And I said, Vandana, I was just in Vancouver, and I went into the meditation of the Vedic hymn of creation, and they said, all we will find there is light. And I said, while I was in there, I saw Krishna, and he's waiting for you in the light. So I said, I'm going to invite you to slip out of your physical body into your light body, and I'm going to slip out of my physical body into my light body, and I'm going to dance you into the light where Krishna is waiting for you. And she nodded her head. And so I said, so here I go, Vandana. I'm in my light body now, and I'm going to put my arms around you, and we're going to dance to Krishna. And it says, can you feel this? And her breath, I said, and train your breath to mine. So she started breathing slow with me, just like this. And I just gave a big sigh, and she went right into the light, and a big smile formed on her face, and she left her body. She was with Krishna. Maurice comes running in the room. Don't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave me. I said, Maurice, she's with Krishna now. And so ministry will give you those strange kind of moments, and you don't know how they happen, but it was a sacred time, and I knew that this is where she wanted to be. And so she's kind of with me all the time. And when I saw her smiling at me when I walked into the church this morning, Judy, I said, okay, I got to bring Vandana back. My little Anamkara. Yeah, so they're always with us. And be grateful that we have those direct experiences of the mystery of belonging to the universe. I was going to bring in the picture of David Tharp. Here's another person that found me here in Huntsville, Alabama. I get a phone call from a man from London, England. And he said, I understand that you do the same thing that I do. And I said, what do I do that you do? And he said, well, I'm a sex therapist over here in London. And I said, well, I'm certainly no sex therapist. And he says, no, I take people into the experience of oneness in dance. And so I said, well, I do my dance thing because you have to watch the patterns on the energy. I was talking to Ben and how his life's evolving. I was 25 years old, and I was in San Francisco. I just left New York, the job that I had for 5 years, which I said, this job is killing me. And you know what? The word has power, Sylvia. I ended up in the hospital. I passed out in the emergency room. I didn't know about spiritual mind treatment then. And a friend visited me from college and said, what happened to you, David? You're working in corporate America. You hate your job. You said it's killing me. You're in it. And I had my gallbladder nearly exploded. So they took out my gallbladder. And then I decided, I'm going to leave this job and go back and not know who I am or what I'm doing. So I moved to San Francisco. I met a man named John Stoddard who lived out there. And we were living in the Haight-Ashbury. And I didn't have any money. I didn't have any job. Those are kind of sacred times in life. So I went to a musical in San Francisco, and it was called A Chorus Line, all about dancers. And all of a sudden, Donna McKechnie's up on stage. I had no money, so I'm sitting in the balcony way back here, and down in the corner, Donna McKechnie says, God, I'm a dancer, and a dancer dances. Give me somebody to dance for. Give me some place to fit in. All I ever needed was the music and the mirrors and the chance to dance for you. And all of a sudden, the light bulbs went off. And I turned to John Stoddard and I said, I'm going to go back to college and work on dance. And so I got into San Jose State University in the master's program in dance. I'm 25 years old, and the spirit was calling me to be a dancer. And then I had that mystical experience on the dance floor when the choreographer said, all movement is discovered, it's not invented. Well, that took me to my master's thesis on the anatomy of inspiration. And there's this something that inspires all of us that someone doesn't teach you the dance steps. No, there's this something that moves through you. And that was my call to ministry. And I didn't know it then, from the dance floor, from the dance. And this was 1976. And that happened to be the bicentennial of America. We were founded in 1776. So on July 4th, 1976, they were having the big bicentennial presentation at San Jose State University. And they wanted to pay tribute to the country, and they needed a Yankee Doodle. Well, I was in the dance program, and so they said, you, David Leonard, you're going to have to do Yankee Doodle. And I said, well, what am I supposed to do? And they said, well, we're going to have the auditorium filled with people. You're going to wear a white tuxedo, and you're going to stand in the back of the auditorium. And then this was disco time. Yankee Doodle, keep it up. Yankee Doodle, keep it up. And I'm supposed to run down in this white tuxedo, down through the audience, up onto the stage. And I had a big top hat on my head and start this number with all the dancers behind me. So I'm a Yankee Doodle, da, 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 and I did it. My hat flew out in the audience, and I forgot what I was supposed to do. And then the little voice said, "But you're Yankee Doodle. You can do whatever you want to do." And so Yankee Doodle just started dancing around the stage, and the chorus girls did their thing, and it happened. And I left the program. I was lost. And it was the beginning of a discovery process that ultimately took me to Atlanta, Georgia, at a time in America when the AIDS crisis hit. And I'm a gay man, and it hit the gay community in the 1980s, 1980, 81. And they were dropping like flies. And I was going to a religious science church at that time in Atlanta, Georgia. And there's a little sign out here. I was going to bring it up and show it to you. Every Sunday, the minister there, he said, such is the nature of life, that all it asks and all it wants is the opportunity to appear. You are that opportunity, and so am I. And it is the purpose of our teaching to make us each aware of this essential truth of our being, that we are this divine presence. And so I was a practitioner, and I started working with these young men that were dying from AIDS. And that's where I met Louise Hay. And she did something very different in Science of Mind. She brought a thing called love. She brought the heart into the whole thing. And so working at this critical time in Atlanta with all these young men that were dying from AIDS, she would start by a simple chant: doors closing, doors opening, doors closing, doors opening. I am safe, it's only change. I am safe, it's only change. So they went into this realization, yes, there are doors that are opening for you. Maybe a discovery that you're a spiritual being, you're having a human experience, but spirit was never born and spirit will never die. And then she would use another song. I love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me. There's nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful, I'm capable of being the best me I can, and I love myself just the way I am. And they'd be crying as they were singing this song about self-love. And then the second chorus, I love you the way you are. There's nothing you need to change. You'll always be the perfect you. There's nothing to rearrange. You're beautiful. You're capable of being the best you can. And I love you just the way you can. And so through the music, through the love, I watched my ministry changed from a science of mind to a science of heart, if you will. And that heart has led the way all 37 years that I've been here in Huntsville. I pulled out Mark Nepo and The One Life We're Given. He's a hero of mine, finding the wisdom that waits within our heart. And he just inspires me so much. Let's see, what does he say? The one life that we're given. As we start out, we're preoccupied with finding our way. And we don't know. And so we get to this place where I don't really know, Megan. Unsure where to go, unsure what to do. Boy, doesn't that sound like me when I was in my 20s? Less certain, we're challenged to inquire into a larger view of life that includes us, but is not defined by us. A larger life that includes us. Oh, I didn't finish that. I went to New York City to study with Gabriel Roth, and she used the dance to liberate the soul. And when David Tharp came in here from London, he said, well, let's take your congregation and liberate them through dance. And so we cleaned out the chairs, and he had this one song, Love is in the Air, Everywhere You Look Around. And he said, I want you to dance around the floor and see that the love is moving all through the room, and you are that love. And I watched as these people realized that I'm not separate from you. It's the one love. At this point, we're ready to discover who we are, with nowhere to go but here, and nothing to do but opening the one life that we're given right now. A journey begins in which we experience life rather than dreaming about how we're going to escape it. I love this. We start to invest who we are and all our care into where we are right now, and slowly we become one with everything that we encounter. When I passed that young lady to Virginia, she had a direct experience just like I did, and it was something we both treasured. In time, the heart works its way into a presence of grace by showing up completely, no matter what may be the circumstance. We learn that meeting life with an open heart is how we can feel where everything is joined. Our call then is to let the soul out and to let the world in. Don't you love that metaphor, Sylvie? Let the soul out and let the world in. Where soul and world touch, we spark aliveness. And when our soul expresses itself in the world, our aliveness shows. And we begin to do our part in sustaining a universe that keeps unfolding. We're part of the universe, the one life, and it keeps unfolding if we keep evolving. The last Sunday of this month, I'm going to talk about resolving to evolve. We never stop evolving. And when the soul expresses itself, we experience an enlivened arc of grace. That's the giving of spirit throughout. It's all grace at this stage, in which we feel the force of life that runs through everything. It's everywhere. You know, I'm a gardener. I go into the garden, and my God, it's filled with so much grace and beauty. Oh, anything that moves us to carry our soul out into the world is a catalyst for this grace. Ben, anything that moves us, so be prepared. You ain't seen nothing yet. And in this way, love, friendships, creativity, pain, and loss are all agents of change, of grace, as are surprise, beauty, grief, and wonder. Oh, wow. Die daily to be born again. And like it or not, we're opened by those hard, sweet journeys of being a human being until we're sparked and worn into the gateway for a life force. We're a gateway for the life force. So we got to, die daily to be born again in that thing. Here's his little concluding sentence. One life lived wholeheartedly and without disguise is more than enough. One life lived wholeheartedly and without disguise, I don't have to hide behind some label, is more than enough. So that's the one life forgiven, and Mark launched us into that. I pulled out then The Joy of Meditation by Jeff Foster. He's the young man I met after I had the heart attack. And he wrote a beautiful book called The Deepest Acceptance. When I had the heart attack, and that was the Widowmaker, only 2% survived, I realized there's a huge wake-up call for me. And so he gave me this little acronym. It's different from the one you mentioned, Adam, but his little acronym was RAIN, R-A-I-N. And he says, use this no matter what you're experiencing in life. It's very simple, but very profound. R, recognize what you're going through. A, accept it. I, inquire. And N, do it in a nurturing way. So what are you showing me? What is this opportunity for me to listen to in everything in life? And we all have stuff. So here's this joy of true meditation. Learning to say yes when we mean yes, and no when we mean no, and if it hurts someone, giving them back their responsibility to heal. Learning that love is not all butterflies and roses and positive feelings. It is work. It is mess. It is pain, and the courage to breathe through that pain into joy and expansion. We want everything to be hearts and roses, and sometimes the love can be painful. It can be an ending before a beginning. Love asks us to become more and more real, more and more human, more and more willing to feel what is, and to feel even more, and then even more, and then even more, and to let our hearts break sometimes wide open, to not know sometimes, to be bored sometimes, to be blissed out sometimes, and to be full of life sometimes, to sometimes not know what's the next step, and then to take it, or maybe not. Remember, we're always evolving, we're always, it's an endless practice. So love is not a feeling, it's not a state, it's not an experience, it's not a destination. Rather, it's an extraordinary light that shines from within us. Oh, there's that light again with the big capital L. Love is this extraordinary light that shines from within. Ooh, it's radiance itself, knowing that never leaves, and it is the joy of being alive. I think the French word is that joie de vivre. That's what that light is. So Jeff goes on to say, we can know it together. We can know it alone. We can remind each other of it. And we can forget it too. We can trigger each other and help each other to become curious about those triggers. And we can do that work or maybe not. So could we be ruthlessly honest? Anastasia knows about this, always going within and asking, is this assisting me in letting the light shine? We can meet in love's fire. We can walk together or maybe not. We can share our hearts, step back, step forward, or stay just where we are. Learning to love the dance of it all, the spontaneity, the adventure, the mystery, the immediacy, and the intimacy of it all, and the running too. Learn to unlearn what we know and embrace the unknowing as a new knowing. Maybe that's what it's like for you coming here, to let go of what you thought you knew and open to an unknowing that is filled with possibility and discovery. It's like that for me every single Sunday. And get more and more content with the unresolvability of it all. We don't have to come to some finite little conclusion, it's all done. No, we can stay in the organic nature of love. Wow. More and more happy with the unhappy one, certain about the uncertainty, and so secure in the insecurity. Oh, doesn't that make you laugh, Serena? You're secure even in the insecurity. More and more blissed out at our own lack of bliss. More and more curious about what's here right now, and less solid, more and more playful, less a seeker of love and more a giver of love, and a finder of love, and a wild presence that invites others into that same joy. We get to invite each other to meet this mystery called love, which is coming from every little. This is love's adventure in each and every moment of our lives. So thank you, Jeff, to remind me that in every moment of our lives, I've just knocked Krishna over.
He didn't drop his flute.
He didn't drop his flute. Yeah. I wanted to close with Ernest Holmes, the founder of this teaching, because we call it the science of mind, but at the end of his life, he was so much in the science of heart, because he said, let love lead the way and then the law will make the way possible. And so sometimes at the end of your ministry, the best stuff comes out. And that's what I'm hoping as the years continue. I mean, 37, going on 38. I call him Ernie. This is what Ernie said near the end. He said, St. Augustine said, thou hast made us, thine are we, and our hearts are restless until we find repose in thee. We're going back to source, Babette. And then he goes on to say, Here is a philosophy of the mind that sleeps in the mineral and yet waves in the grass. We're all part of that one life, Miss Virginia. And he goes on to say, we have the concept of the divine impregnating the mundane clod. The divine, even in a flower, even in a rock. And he says, everything is impregnated by that which is alive and awake and aware of everything, from a grain of sand to an archangel. Ooh. From an anthill to a planet. That everything we call individual is not really individual by separation, but it's individuated. We are all individuations of the one life, as a self-expression of the totality of all life. Ooh. That is why Jesus said, who hath seen me hath also seen the Father, or the beloved, or God. And Emerson said, who in his integrity worships God becomes God. He's talking about oneness here, because all there really is that. So Ernest says at the end, Troward, one of his teachers, said that since we are it, capital IT, in manifestation, and it is all there is, when I see it is it seeing me at the level of my seeing it. Well, that's kind of a tongue twister. I think Jack would get that one. And Jesus said, who hath seen me hath seen the Father. If you have an individual in the universe, it will be separated from everything else. But if you have an individuation of all things, in all things, behind everything is the potential of all things. So Ernest goes on to say, it will be forever upward, outward, spiral, ever more and never less itself. We will be evolving into an upward spiral, never less, always more. We are able to talk to each other, as Kant would say, because we have an intuitive perception in a field of a unitary wholeness. A unitive perception in a field of unitary wholeness. Intuition is spirit in the soul of a man. So how many of us go into our intuitive guidance system? Oh, there's a thing, Miss Susie, the intuitive guidance system. Well, there's something that isn't David, but it has, well, there we go. Our evolution, he goes to conclude, merely catching up with that which is involuted, becoming aware of itself and catching up with a principle in the presence of its own being. Oh my God, we're waking up to the truth of who we are. Because each individual has back of it the whole work, all of God in potential within everyone. Oh God, this is kind of spooky. Who in his integrity worships God becomes God. The Talmud says, God will doubly guide the already guided. God will doubly guide the already guided. Jesus said the same thing, probably got it form in ancient teachings. He said, to him who hath shall be given, and from who hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. So open to what is the good, the God in your life. And within us is self-existence, self-perpetuation, self-energy, self-knowing. The self must raise the self by the self. Behold, I stand at the door and knock, I wait. Whoever will may come. There is nothing there then that would force the evolution beyond the point of self-perception. With Moses came the law. By Christ came the grace. And every individual must have within themselves the ability to work out their own way for salvation. So each one of us gets to take responsibility. How am I going to do this journey to know where to now here? Lastly, only the uncreated can create. It seems to me that only the unmanifest can manifest. Only that which is not spoken can be said. And back to intuition. Every invention came from an intuition, Michael. Just a series of intuitions. Now, there is within each one of us not only the presentation of the infinite, who hath seen me hath seen the Father, yet the Father is greater than the I. There is also that which perpetuates, there is that which extends itself, and there is that which the self knows. We receive life by works, we use it. They are two great perceptions of our relationship to reality, the divine pattern. And there is in us that thing which belongs to the universe at the center of everything, nestled in the seat of perfection. Whitman said, and Brownie also said, in loosening the imprisoned splendor, we are beneficiaries of the divine. In the beginning, God made man perfect, but man has sought out many inventions. So he goes on to quote all these Arabundo and Emerson. They're all saying that there is that which is within us that wants to be revealed, to express, and for us to deeply know. And it's an endless journey. We've got a song now about love. And I would love to have Kelly and Bob bring our little choir up here on Easter Sunday. It's about love. And I want you to know that it's in the air and it's everywhere you look around. And if you should feel a little dance in your soul, you can just move your hips back and forth. Are you going to come up to the stage or step down there?
No, you can stay where you're at.
Okay. Oh, my little tango. Oh, and Jody has the collection back with Paula, if you would like to make a donation to the center.
All right.
Love's in the air, everywhere I look around. Love is in the air, every side and every sound. I don't know if I'm being foolish, don't know if I'm being wise, but it's something that I must believe in. And it's there when I look in your eyes. Love is in the air, and the whisper of the trees. The whisper of the trees. Love is in the air, in the thunder of the sea. The thunder of the sea. And I don't know if I'm just dreaming. Don't know if I feel sane. But it's something that I must believe in. And it's there when you call my name. Oh, we love you, Reverend David. Love is in the air, la 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 la. Love is in the air, la 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 la. Love is in the air, the rising of the sun, the rising of the sea. Love is in the air, when the day is nearly gone. The day is nearly done, I don't know if you're an illusion. Don't know if I see it true. But there's something that I must believe in. And you're there when I reach out for you. Love is in the air, everywhere I look around. Love is in the air, every sight and every sound. I don't know if I'm being foolish. Don't know if I'm being wise, but it's something that I must believe in. And it's there when I look in your eyes. Oh, we love you, Reverend David. Love in the air, la 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 la. Love in the air, la 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 la. Oh, we love you, Reverend David. Love is in the air, la 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 la. Love is in the air, la 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 la. Love is in the air, la la la. Love is in the air.
We need more
Jody, let's bring the bell. My gosh. I'm overwhelmed. I am overwhelmed by the love. And so we open to that love that's in the air, that's everywhere we look around, with every sight and every sound. God is love. And when we are being loving, we are being godlike. And so it's an opportunity for us as we take the next step on this journey to open to this very heartfelt awareness that sees oneness, that embraces all of life. As I go through the garden and I see a little bug that's struggling or a baby bird, I see that they're all my children and we are all the mother. And so when we help a little baby bird or a little bug who's trapped in a whatever, there's a sense of belonging to the universe that is so sweet. And so we open to this journey of love by saying yes. Beloved, this life belongs to you, so do with it as you will. And then we get to trust in this beloved presence that's within and all around to use us. Use me, O God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Command my hands, what must they do? Command my heart, it's here for you. And so in that open surrender to be love's emissary on this journey, we then say yes to whatever arises, because we know that we are all part of the oneness. Literally, I am you and you are me. And there's only one here, and we are that. Oh, with playful, joyful anticipation of the journey that continues with each other, we take a deep inhalation and we give a sigh for the divine. Ah, you ain't seen nothing yet, beloved. Here we go. The dance goes on. Shall we make a little circle?